Good morning. Today we are looking at this statement by Ramana Maharshi, the great Bhagavan, the great mystic, the great seer. And he's saying the self, which is knowledge, is alone the reality. Knowledge of diversity is but false knowledge. This false knowledge, which is but ignorance, does not exist apart from the self, which is knowledge reality. So let's have a look at this. Because, excuse me, because our tendency can be to seek knowledge with a small k, to seek information with our intellects. I remember hearing this story once about this guy, and he's searching for truth, and he comes upon a temple, and inside there are people all sitting like this, thinking very deeply, thinking very deep thoughts, and he thinks, this must be where people discover the truth. They work the truth out through deep thinking, and with highly honed intellects they get the truth. So he's sitting there, and time goes by, and eventually this little boy comes and pulls on his shirt and says, "Look, come." And the guy goes, No, don't disturb me, I'm thinking very deep and important thoughts. I'm gaining mental knowledge. It's important." And the kid goes off and comes back again and says, "No, come on." And then the guy goes, "Okay, what?" And the little kid, who's all shining and sparkly eyed, takes him out of the temple of reason and leads him on up the path. And they come round the corner, and there in front is this most fabulous whole city of crystal light, and the very atmosphere is singing joyfully, and with it, and the place is pulsating with the most beautiful vibration. And his mind has become quiet, and he's just looking and feeling intense awe and wonder. It seems to us that the intellect is the vehicle to get to the self, or knowledge. But the intellect can only deal with knowledge in the realm of duality, the knowledge of things. I mean, now, in recent times, and even literally in recent days, the Chinese have developed, along with Google, they also did it, the Chinese have developed a quantum computer that can do in 3 minutes what a supercomputer would take 2 billion years to do. So we've got enormous intelligence now, absolutely beyond what any one individual can really get. And with the advances made in AI, which is now teaching itself deep learning. So we've taken the intelligence and the intellect to the absolute nth degree. But is that bringing us knowledge? It's not. It's bringing us knowledge. It's computing data that reveals information that gets assessed to give us knowledge with a small k. Does that really make any difference? In the world of conventional reality, it makes a difference. But knowing that kind of knowledge doesn't really make a difference in the way that I am, or my access to what is. So there's another kind of knowledge, which is the knowledge of, like the knowledge people talk about the knowledge, and it turns out to be like techniques, the secret knowledge, and it turns out to be techniques. That isn't the knowledge either. That is not what self-knowledge is. Self-knowledge isn't techniques of how to become a little peaceful. That isn't what self-knowledge is. Self-knowledge is being the self. Knowledge, in the ultimate sense, is beyond the intellectual level. The mind has to be focused rather than embodying high thought, entertaining high thoughts. So the intellect cannot reach the self. It can talk about it, but it cannot be it. So knowledge is actually everywhere, all the time. By bringing one's consciousness to knowledge with a capital K, by bringing one's consciousness to that place, one becomes in a field, one awakens in a field of knowing, where how it is the greatest knowledge there is. Where being the self and relinquishing all lesser identities of being a body, I am my body, identities, I am what I do, I am what I think, I am the lesser knowledge that I have amassed, I am what I understand, all that, relinquishing all of that. And what remains and what can't be relinquished is this unified field of knowingness, where it's self-evident. The same applies to wisdom. There is a kind of wisdom which is which is an adjective given to, a description given to a certain kind of talking, or the expression of a certain kind of ideas. Star-spangled ideas are called wisdom. But the real wisdom is not made of ideas. The real wisdom is not made of thought. The real wisdom is the self. Any good star-spangled thoughts that appear in our minds come from the self. The self pervades everything. Knowing is not about... Most people have knowing as what comes from processing data and turning it information and then getting knowledge. But knowledge, in its ultimate sense, comes from direct experience. You don't believe something, you don't logic something to be so. Well, if that is that and that's that, then this must be so. The real knowing is when you directly experience what is. Because logic, using logic to suggest that something is by saying, well, if this is this and that is that, then this must, by the laws of logic, this must also be. In a way, that's kind of like belief, because there's an if. with belief. If it's as they say it is, I believe it is as they say it is. But belief doesn't require, or it doesn't come from direct knowing. Intellectual knowledge does not come from direct knowing. There is the possibility of direct knowing, direct experience where each individual realizes the self, the truth about a human life. Techniques are empty. Things are empty. What is fullness? People talk about being fulfilled, as if fulfillment comes from a set of circumstances. I had these set of circumstances and I became fulfilled. I got what I wanted, then I was fulfilled. But that kind of fulfillment comes and goes. It's here today, gone tomorrow. What is the real fulfillment? The real fulfillment is the self that fills emptiness. And each time we open up to that, the fulfillment just wells up, and there it is. For no reason other than that's what is. Be still and know. That thing from the Bible, that statement from the Bible, it isn't read the Bible a lot and know. It isn't listen to the priests and know. It isn't pray all the time and know. It isn't be a good person and know. No, it's not. That's not what's said. If you want to know, the instruction is simple. Be still. Still body, still mind. And when we calm right down, all that is the self. And then that's true knowledge. Then there's a sense of completeness. And each time we come into that place, that's home. That's where the thirst is quenched. The thirst to know. With the internet in these last decades, so much information has been made available to us. Pretty much anybody can get hold of pretty much any information they want. But has it made us any the wiser? If it had made us the wiser, that transformation would have shown up in the way we're managing our affairs, wouldn't it? But it hasn't. All that information is still destroying the environment. We're still in the midst of an climate catastrophe. We're still not treating each other correctly. We're still not sharing. We're still spending enormous sums on weapons. We're still doing horrendous things. So all that information that is now available, it hasn't made us any the wiser. So what does make us the wiser? If we had more information, would that be it? Now with the supercomputing and the quantum computing, is that going to make us wiser? It'll make us more knowledgeable, but will it make us more wise? And the answer is no. Only by being the self, does wisdom in its ultimate sense arise. Can we see this? So if an individual wants to become wise, at the moment what the individual will do is read books, listen to teachings. But what those teachings are really saying is, if you want to become wise, immerse yourself in the field of wisdom. Take the filters off. The filters of your preferences, the filters of your conditionings. Take them off and surface and unfold in what actually is, always already here. In every moment, the substratum of every moment, in all things, in all states, unmoving and unchanging. This is wisdom. This is how, by immersing ourselves in that field, that's how we become wise. Wise is one of the expressions of wisdom is to see what helps and do it, and to see what doesn't help and don't do it. And of course that's the path of rapid growth. So let us now come into that place by putting things down. So if you want to sit up straight, then you can have your eyes closed or you can have your eyes open. But if you have your eyes open, fix them on a point and try not to blink. That point can be me if you want. Okay, so become aware of your environment. Maybe there are sounds in it, maybe there's movement in it. You're not interested in that. So you open up to it and let it go. And then you come to your body, and you recognize that the perception of your body, you know you've got a body because it's sending you different feelings and sensations. Maybe there's an ache in your knees, maybe something in your back, you can feel your clothes, you can feel temperature on your skin, maybe you can feel energy pulsing in your body, and that's your body. Those are the sensations that make up having a body. So put them down. We're not interested in that bandwidth. And then you have your senses, what you can hear, what you can see, the mental sense, your thoughts, different feelings. They all happen in their realm. We're not interested in that either. We don't want to make anything happen. We simply want to see what actually is. Not my thinking, not my thoughts, not my views, not my opinions, not my commentary. It's not there. Techniques, no techniques necessary. No huffing and puffing. Just allow yourself to come to the most natural thing within you. There's your breathing. Where is your breathing coming from? Look at your breathing. What observes your breathing? Were you before you took breath? Will you be after you cease breathing? What actually does breath do? Breath holds consciousness in the body, which allows for the experience of movement in space and time. As we come to the core, as we come to what cannot be let go of, there's a sense of increasing timelessness. Pure presence. Neither changing nor not changing. Pure presence, that alone. Not the view of pure presence, not the thought of pure presence. Any idea of yourself, let it go. The idea that you're located somewhere. Oh, I'm located in my body. Let go of that idea. It's not a state, it's not a mental state. Let go of your mental states. It's immeasurable. Inconceivable. This is the knowledge. Being what is. As we spend more time in this presence, as this presence, we'll notice that our relationship to our thinking, our relationship to our bodies, our relationship to our life goes through the most amazing transformation, naturally. And there's a great simplifying that happens. and one recognizes a clarity beyond the clarity of the mind. The clarity of the mind, sometimes you're clear, sometimes you're not. Depending on food, sleep, what you put in your body, the environment you're in. But the clarity of knowledge doesn't change. It's like the clarity of the sky, which remains constant no matter what weather is in the sky. And that is the wisdom. That is the knowing. That the self is the knowing. Self-realization is recognizing that everything is happening in the self, which is pure awareness. So, the self which is knowledge is alone the reality. The knowledge of diversity is but fake knowledge. This false knowledge, which is but ignorance, does not exist apart from the self, which is knowledge reality. Knowledge reality. It's not by understanding the words that this knowledge is gained. You already are this knowing. We're either bumbling along, driven by internal dialogue, thinking that we're the part we're playing, or we're flowing as awareness, flowing as the self. When they say, oh, self-knowledge, know thyself, they don't mean, when the great philosopher said know thyself, he didn't mean know all your character traits. He wasn't referring to that. Know your mind. No, he was referring to the self. Know the self. Beyond all of that. So I hope this has been helpful and that you have a wonderful day.